Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm Office Bloke Max.
Here we are, two of us.
Yeah.
No Mike, you'll notice today.
I know.
He's gone missing again.
Again.
I have to go back in them woods and see what he's playing at. Must have had something going on in them woods.
We do need another mic on soon.
No, he's on holiday. He's having a well-deserved break over in the in sunny Spain.
Where else Spain, do you know?
Oh. Mallorca.
Oh, fair play.
So he's in the Balearic Islands. Yeah. But it's better off than being here where it's pissing down with rain.
As usual, yeah. British summer, eh?
Standard. Yeah. I think we've had about 14 hours so far.
Yeah. Oh, mate, it's ridiculous.
So you're in the hot seat today, Max. Pressure's on.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
To be fair, again, when I started here, I think I got thrown into videos straight away.
You did?
I just like 10 video block and first week in. But yeah. No,
it's always good. It's always good. But this is one you chose as well.
Yes.
The steroids are awesome, are they?
I decline to comment. If you couldn't
get into it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Is that they work. Like, really work. That's probably irresponsible for me to say, but if we're going to talk about the steroid epidemic, we need to do it honestly.
Here's a 3-week trend cycle update for you guys.
Buying trend in Thailand.
Steroids build muscle way faster than something like creatine. It's not even close. If you started taking 5 grams of creatine every day for a year straight, you'd add about 2 pounds of extra muscle. If you started taking steroids at a normal bodybuilding dose, you'd probably add about 20 pounds of extra muscle that year.
Wow.
It could be more depending on your genetics and how much you take. I'm a lifetime natural bodybuilder, and these are my testosterone levels right now. 485 nanograms per deciliter. That's right around the middle of the normal range for someone my age. This is bodybuilder Chase Irons, the world's most honest, enhanced bodybuilder. He also had blood work done this month. Where do you think his testosterone levels are? Maybe double mine or triple mine? Nope. His levels are literally off the charts.
What?
The test maxes out at 10,000 nanograms per deciliter, and his testosterone was higher than that. He openly admits to taking a lot of gear, and this shows just how big the gap between natural and enhanced can get. More people are taking steroids now than ever before. Why is that? Well, I think it's because more and more fitness influencers are opening up about their anabolic use. In theory, this honesty is a good thing. That's because anyone watching would be able to adjust their own expectations for their goals. If they're natural and they know their favorite fitness influencer isn't, they'd be able to lower their own standards and say, okay, well, now I know that result isn't achievable for me. But this kind of backfired. A lot of people didn't lower their expectations, they just started taking steroids. And the bigger problem is a lot of fitness influencers are only ever partially transparent. They say they're on steroids and they show their gains, but they rarely, if ever, show any of the bad stuff. So the only logical conclusion is that steroids are amazing. But that's misleading. So to help you understand exactly what happens to your body when you take steroids, let's inject some juice together and see what happens next. Good and bad. This is testosterone enanthate. It's one of the most common forms of steroids that people...
I've always said about they normally do like the Olympics and stuff like that. They should have like an alternate Olympics where
like
people just juice up.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. You can take or do whatever you want.
That'd do so many views. I'd watch that.
I'd watch that all day. Yeah. I want to watch people running 100 meters in like 6 seconds.
I was say it.
You know
Usually Bolt's record get halved.
Backwards.
Yeah, literally.
Those swimmers start like going in there and just swimming like a motorboat.
Yeah.
Don't know, just never stopping. Or even though it's stopped, they just carry on.
But then you could put like Phelps in there as well and just see how he does against juiced.
You can choose to go in clean. Yeah. You
Yeah.
can choose to go in clean, but it is the steroid Olympics.
That'd be so.
And
crazy.
how much weight you can lift and all that kind of stuff. Seeing people lift like 3 ton.
That's why imagine Eddie Hall on consistent. You know Eddie Hall,
Yeah.
Just consistent steroids. I think he's probably on it anyway, but like,
I mean, size
massive,
of him, huge. Yeah.
Imagine him just openly on everything.
Yeah, but that's can you imagine sort of like I mean, I know there'll be issues with insurance. Number one, I know there'll be issues. There'll be issues surrounding loads of stuff. But I mean, you will get someone who would insure it.
Oh yeah.
But you'd also have like some of the records would be broken, and some of the things you'd be able to see would just be wild to show you what enhancement in drugs sort of like brings for the Olympics.
Imagine
for
like
sport.
marathons and things like that.
Yeah,
just get cut in half the speed they'd go.
No, double the distance, I'd say. Instead of being 26 mile, do 52 miles.
That could be absolutely.
Yeah,
that's a great
marathon.
shout.
And see if they can break it in 4 hours.
Yeah,
or whatever it is. Just sprinting the whole way.
Yeah, juiced up Mo Farah would be hilarious.
It would be funny, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
will take. It's basically just a testosterone molecule with a carboxyl group attached and dissolved in a vegetable oil so you can inject it. There's also some kind of aromatic compound like benzoyl benzoate in here, which prevents bacterial growth and helps the testosterone dissolve better. When you inject the needle into your muscle, a bubble of oil is squeezed in between the individual muscle fibers, which spreads out and forms this elongated shape. The testosterone molecules then slowly make their way into the bloodstream over the course of several hours. There, enzymes called esterases cleave off that carboxyl group, and then the testosterone is carried by molecules called binding proteins to the muscle, where it enters a single muscle cell. Now its job is to make that muscle cell bigger. And if that's all that steroids did, that'd be sweet, and I'd be on them. But there's a lot more that happens. For one, your heart is also a muscle. So, of course, the same thing happens there. The testosterone enters your heart cells and tells your DNA to make your heart bigger. Having a big heart sounds like a good thing, but it's really not. When your heart grows, especially one compartment called the left ventricle, the extra bulk actually makes it harder for your heart to squeeze and relax. This means your heart won't be able to pump blood as effectively, which increases your risk of heart failure. Now, I want to say, I'm not the health police. You can do whatever you want with your own body, and I've got no problem with people who enhance. But I want people to at least be aware of exactly what you're doing and the full effect it has, good and bad. For example, not many people realize that steroids affect your brain. To explain this, I wanted to find someone with scientific education and first-hand experience with steroids.
Oh, he's a maniac.
Don't know him.
Hey.
Fonzie.
Did you hear me okay, Mike?
You can show me a more stereotypical bodybuilder.
Yeah, exactly.
Ever.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
no hair on his body whatsoever.
Yeah, if you paint a bodybuilder, that's what you're getting.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah. You see when you go, well, I don't go to the gym.
Yeah.
But when I did, or when I do,
Yeah.
if I have to meet someone at the gym, it's like that's what you see.
Whenever I go, there's about 9 of them. I don't try and
you go
remember
to the gym
names.
quite. You're frequent in the gym, aren't you?
3 to 4 times a week. Doesn't show it, I know. But I try. I'll take creatine, but there's some people there that you just know are on steroids.
I go to a gym that's in a hotel. So it's like it's full of like just guests from the hotel and things like that, and people who are just members. It's not like
lax.
it's like just people who want to like get a little bit of fitness in. Swimming's got a pool and a sauna. And all that. You don't get like the steroids there or anything like that. There's no photography in the mirror or anything like that.
Oh god, we've got loads of that.
Yeah,
because I go to Pure Gym, so it's like it's dead cheap, and everyone's you get school kids in there, and it's just the worst. It's the worst.
I remember once being in a gym and seeing a guy strap his arms up, sort of thing, like lifting some weights, and he had some guys behind him, like spotting him and helping him. Yeah, and he sort of like had this ridiculous sort of like massive fucking dumbbells that he was trying to lift. Yeah. And he sort of like, they strapped him up. It took him about 15 minutes to strap up. He sort of like struggled to lift anything, made a load of noise, didn't end up lifting it. They sort of like probably supported him more than he did. Yeah. Threw him on the floor, made another noise, and then took all his strapping off. And I'm like, you're taking a piss.
That's about 8 minutes that you're never getting back.
I know.
And you've ruined everyone else's set as well.
I'm just sat there watching him going like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What's the point behind it?
Yeah, it's making loud noises in the gym. I get it if you're going for like a massive like personal best. I don't do like 1 rep maxes when people just load heavy to just seem strong, like an ego lift. But like I'll grunt occasionally if I'm near failure, but I'm not gonna like scream and slam weights down.
Go and stand next to him in like 5 kilos and start going like next to him as well, making all the noises.
Is that it? Come on.
Yeah. Steroids can cause in many people really high levels of anxiety. It's dose dependent. It's also compound dependent. Things like Tren cause way more anxiety than other milder compounds like Primo. So this is fun. I haven't admitted this yet, but it's not a particularly crazy admission. I recently took a validated, empirically validated, scientifically based scale for anxiety. And actually currently, right now, I have severe anxiety disorder. It's probably the most severe type of anxiety disorder, short of like panic disorder. Side effects. And that's actually right now, as I talk, that's what I have. And another one, also another psychological side effect. Some types of your intelligence degrade over time with steroid use. This was tested in people currently using steroids and people who used to use steroids. Most people are just totally unaware that steroids have that potential effect on IQ reduction. And since IQ or just intelligence is such a global quality that you probably want to hang out to most of it as much as you have, it's a real serious thing to trade off.
And that tracks with the science. This 2021 study took 3D MRI scans of the brains of over 200 weightlifters. About half of them were natty, the other half enhanced. The scans revealed that the lifters who took steroids had a significantly bigger brain age gap. That means when they looked at the natural brains, their brain age matched their actual age. But the brains of the enhanced lifters looked much older than they should look for someone their age. Their brains were aging faster than they should be. And the psychology of steroids is fascinating. Most people take steroids because they want to look bigger and feel better about the way they look. And I get it. I want to look bigger and feel better too. And steroids will make you look bigger, but they might not help you feel any better about the way you look. They actually could make your body dysmorphia worse. That's because a lot of people think if they just start enhancing, then they'll look how they want. But just because you take gear doesn't mean you're going to look like sebum. And then when you eventually come off, you'll quickly lose a good chunk of the size that you put on and feel smaller than ever. At that point, it becomes near impossible not to go back on, take even more steroids, and the cycle continues. Again, that wouldn't really be a problem if steroids didn't impact pretty much every system in your body, but they do. After you inject, some of that testosterone is converted into a hormone called DHT, which causes hair follicles to shrink faster. This is why so many bodybuilders are bald in their 20s. Some testosterone is also converted into estrogen, which can increase breast tissue formation in men, leading to soft, puffy nipples, also known as gyno. The most reliable way to get rid of gyno is surgery, and while most people will take other drugs to prevent that conversion to estrogen, almost every bodybuilder you know has had to deal with gyno at some point. Injecting testosterone also lets your testicles know that there's more than enough testosterone to go around, so they shrink to about 1/2 of their usual size. The shrinkage quickly shuts down your body's natural ability to make its own testosterone, which is why some people need to inject testosterone for the rest of their life. Steroids also make sebaceous glands on your skin grow bigger, which causes them to overproduce a sticky, oily substance called sebum. Sebum moisturizes and protects your skin in normal amounts, but causes acne when overproduced. Steroid users will try to combat this by taking other drugs for acne treatment, but then they have their own side effects.
What would be a side effect that most people wouldn't be aware of until you've kind of done it?
Yeah, it's a good question. There are a few of those I can think of. Because anabolic steroids are mostly gotten in, at least the United States and Canada, through underground laboratories, some of the gear you get is like damn near farmer grade. It goes in smooth as butter, never does anything, no inflammation. Some of the gear goes in there and boy, does it mess you up. And I have been personally hospitalized at least once for a non-infected but insanely immune responsive abscess. My quad was like 1/2 foot out to one side. I've had friends get hospitalized for abscesses. The doctors have to cut your skin open, they have to drain it. And lastly, the term roid rage, but it's really aggression. And it very infrequently displays itself as actual violent acts, but the thoughts you get on steroids are disturbing. You might like war movies and stuff, but if there's a war movie playing in your head every single second you're awake and asleep, it gets a little old after a while. But you have big muscles, so I guess that's cool. So that's how the cookie crumbles.
Let me get a second opinion on that.
Hello.
Yo. A pretty common reported anecdote is feeling like you just hit puberty again. For the first 6 to 8 weeks, it literally feels like you're 16 years old again.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's probably not a good thing overall because you're now an adult with the libido of a raging 16-year-old and you have responsibilities and things to keep up with, and all you can think about is your perpetually erect penis, basically, which is not ideal. Increased probability of injury. This is sometimes talked about. When your strength is skyrocketing, your connective tissue cannot maintain the pace of your muscular strength, and often this will lead to unnecessary injury in the gym because, if your bench goes up 50 pounds in 6 weeks, you're not gonna hold back. You're gonna keep pushing because this weight feels like a feather now. You're gonna, go as far as it can take you, but your connective tissue is not keeping up with that pace. And this, you'll see often bodybuilders that end up with brutal injuries.
It's hard to say how much steroids shorten your lifespan, but they definitely do. One 2024 paper followed over 1,000 steroid users for 11 years with an average age of 27. During the same time frame, they also followed 60,000 people of the same age but not on steroids. 2.8% of the steroid users had died by the follow-up, while only 1% of the non-steroid users had died. That's a lot of excess deaths, which led the authors to note that the excess death rate in this young adult population is striking. Of course, this depends on the dose that you're taking.
I think what a lot of people think is, I'm not going to go crazy with the juice. Like, I'm just going to do a little, like, sports TRT or whatever, like 150, 200 milligrams a week. How do you feel about that?
I think the word TRT is very conflated with, like, baby cycle, essentially, at this point. When you're on TRT, even if it looks on paper like a normal total testosterone, it is not representative of what you could do naturally. So even if you're on, like, you know, low-dose TRT, on paper, you could define it as such, but it's certainly, like, you're essentially on mini enhancement territory perpetually, which I'm not to say that that's bad, because that's almost like the boat I fall into myself, essentially. It's just a matter of managing the risk to reward on it, and if you feel it is worthwhile for yourself, considerate of all of the factors that underlie it.
Would you say there is a healthy way to use steroids?
So everything is a spectrum in this case. So there are healthier and less healthy ways, and if you want to use steroids in a healthier way, then what you're going to do is start with very small amounts of them, check your blood work, do various heart scans and procedures, consult with a professional coach who does this for a living, have a medical doctor on retainer to make sure that you're getting every several months or twice a year blood work. You check your blood pressure all the time, you cycle properly, coming on and off, you take as little gear as will accomplish the effect you're interested in. If you do that, you can definitely do it healthier than not. But, you know, there are ways to race a car and design a race car and design the suit and the crumple zones that make it safer. But as soon as you pass 200 miles an hour, safer is the term. It's not safe. It was never safe. And so steroid use is less safe almost always than not taking steroids, but you can make it very, very safe, or you can make it pretty roll the dice risky. The real big decision is on how you approach it.
I notice people at like a really young age coming up to me and being like, hey, like I might hop on, like, you know, I've been training for a while now, like teenagers. Do you have like an age in mind where it's like, this is where, you know, you're old enough to even like consider it, and before that, just figure out your training and diet?
Yeah, there's a couple things that go into that. One is some kinds of steroids close your growth plates early, and that means they'll prevent you from reaching an adult height. Some men don't stop growing until they're 22 years old. And if you start taking it when you're 16, you're probably going to be a short king for much longer than you anticipate. Well, actually, a shorter king than you ended up should have become with your genetics. And, you know, to almost the same group of people to whom jacked lifestyle is important, being as tall as possible is also important, seemingly. Another thing is the brain develops in very, very high-level ways, well into your late 20s, and in subtle ways through your entire lifespan. And so until about your mid-20s, I would say there's a high probability that steroids will stunt your brain development to a significant extent.
I think it seems to me like I've been on steroids without getting the benefits.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Right? Stomach growth, bald.
Yeah.
Brain growth. Right?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I remember when I was in the gym at 18, I'd thought about it before, because I went to, do you know Snap Fitness in Sale?
Yeah.
That's all. I went there. That's a really small gym, and that had loads of people that were like on it. You could tell.
Yeah.
And then I started talking to a few of them, and then they were just like, "Oh no, you can definitely do it safe. Like, 100%. Let me get you this." And I'm like, I'm freshly turned 18, and I'm like, I probably shouldn't do. I didn't in the end, obviously. But yeah, it is a tough thing for like kids around like 16 to 18 to think. It's like I can get big quick. Oh, the girls will love me.
I know, but I know a lot of girls I speak to, they're not really, you know, especially like a younger generation, they're not really into like the big muscle men.
Yeah, the dad bods are back in.
No, I've always been in. Trust me.
There you go.
And so I would say my cutoff age generally, as the conversation for responsible medically supervised steroid use for serious goals by a serious individual, begins at age 25.
The answer I usually give is like get at least 10 years of natural training under your belt, because you'll have figured out what works for your body. And then from there, you know, you'll also by default be at least in your like mid-20s. You know, most people don't start lifting until they're at least, you know, in their mid-teens. So, you know, it kind of ticks both of those boxes. And so, yeah, I always encourage people. It's like, have you been training hard and smart for 10 years? If not, then I don't think it's decision time for you yet.
And I'll be honest, there have been several moments in my own bodybuilding career when enhancing has been very tempting. even now, especially with the fitness standards increasing rapidly and more fitness influencers juicing.
And I think the standards have shifted so much since, we
yeah.
started out like 6 years ago. Like, I was in the natty or not conversation as a physique that's like almost too good, and now six years later, it's like you're the guy who doesn't lift but knows,
But instead of enhancing, I've decided to do something different. I keep thinking maybe I've reached my natural limit for muscle growth, but have I actually? Am I actually at my natty limit, or have I just not been training as hard and smart as I could be? I wasn't going to reveal this, but this year I'm doing an experiment with McMaster University here in Canada to see how much muscle it's possible for me to build naturally this deep into my lifting journey. If I do everything perfectly, can I still make gains naturally? So for this entire year, I've been doing everything 100% perfectly in the gym. I'm tracking every single set, taking the last set of every exercise to true technical failure. I'm not skipping any sets or any workouts. I'm also committing 100% to my diet. I haven't missed a single day tracking in macro factor, and I've hit my calorie and protein goal every single day. Now, I'll be sharing my full results at the end of this year, but I can say that I've definitely made some solid gains already. This doesn't always show up as well on camera, but I've gotten more compliments about having put on some solid size at my local gym than I've gotten in years. But similar to me, what happens to a lot of guys is that they think they're at their natty limit and only steroids will help, when in reality, they're probably just not being as diligent with their training and their nutrition as they could be. Why not dial that up to 100% first? Then you can make that decision. That's how I feel anyway. And if you want to commit and join me on a year-long journey to truly dedicated lifting and eating, consider downloading my nutrition app, Macro Factor. You can try it for 2 weeks for free to see if you like it first, and it's really like having me as your own personal nutrition coach, but for a tiny, tiny fraction of the cost. We're about to hit 150,000 monthly users, which is pretty crazy, and we've gathered some incredible transformations from users of the app. Unlike other diet apps, Macro Factor uses science-based algorithms to tailor your calories and macros to your metabolism specifically. All you need to do is track your food and your weight, and the app will automatically update your nutrition each week. So I'll put a link to the free trial in the description box down below if you guys want to get started with me. And that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like the video. He talks well.
Yeah.
He's talks sense as well. My son's very big into fitness. He's huge into it. He's like, but he's not one who wants to grow stature.
Yeah.
He's into
cardio based.
Yeah, he's going to swim the channel.
Oh wow.
He's down for swimming the channel. I think it's in September. But he texted me yesterday and he says, "Just finished. Sorry, I didn't get back to you. I've just finished my swim." He swam for 5 hours. Yeah, 15 kilometers.
That's like what part? That's similar to like Ironman level.
It's what it is, Ironman.
Oh, it is
yeah,
Ironman.
He's going into Ironman. Once he swam the channel, they're doing like a ultra. I think it's called something like an ultra triathlon or something.
Yeah.
Where he swims the channel, then one of his mates gets on a bike and cycles something like 297 kilometers.
Wow.
And then another guy runs like, I don't know, 50 miles, 60 miles.
Oh, like in a team, a group of three.
It's three of them. Yeah, they were doing it.
A bit like what's the car race where you swap? I'm trying to think. Like a Le Mans or something
Le Mans TT, the Allemand TT or Le Mans or whatever.
Yeah,
maybe.
something like that.
Yeah, things
Similar.
like that. But he's doing it. He swims to France, and then his mate gets over in France and cycles to Germany or something, and the other guy runs to Belgium or something, and then the guy gets on the bike from Belgium and goes to Germany.
That sounds incredible.
So it's and his training is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
he swims in the sea, he swims in reservoirs. And my daughter-in-law said to me the other day, I went to pick him up from the reservoir. There was a group of young lads who sat in front of him, and his son used to be a bit of a naughty boy when he was young, sort of thing, had his own like issues sort of thing. And he says, "Look at this guy here, he must be a professional or something. He's been in there for hours." Said he's been swimming just non-stop for hours. Said he's never smoked a weed in his life. Little did he know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but he's doing really good with it, and he's into all that sort of thing. He has like the nutrition apps and all this kind of stuff. He has a nutritionist who advises him what to eat and what to do and what to take, and all the supplements that you should be taking to sort of do. But nothing, he won't go into anything that's like that's enhancing, performance enhancing.
Well, I think once you're at that point where you're fully like switched on and doing it, there's no point.
Yeah,
because you're gonna reach it anyway, and then you're risking more things than you're actually gaining. But
even when you look at him in his body shell, when he's got like his clothes on, and he's like t-shirt and shorts or his t-shirt and jeans or whatever, he looks dead skinny. Yeah. But when he takes his top off, he's ripped.
It's lean.
It's like a boxer. Yeah. He was a boxer sort of thing, so he did boxing as well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but he's just fitness now for the younger generation. He's paramount compared to what it used to be when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think
we had football fitness. That was it.
It's gotten good in terms of like expectations have gotten less because you'd see people on steroids and be like, "Oh, you've got like this is how men look," and then now it's like you don't actually have to train for 4 hours in a gym at all. You can do it in an hour.
Yeah.
If you just do it right.
Yeah.
That's why I have people like Jeff Nippard. They'll tell you just do it properly.
Yeah.
And then you'll be all right.
No, I like that guy. It was good. Enjoyed that. Yeah. Well done. Thanks for that. Switching me onto that.
No worries.
Enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.